everyone, my name is Kate Kalthoff and welcome to a Stamping to Share video. Today we are going to make a non-Christmas card with a stamp set called White Christmas. And this is a masculine thinking of you card, and I'm excited to share it with you. You can find the White Christmas stamp set on page 68 of the 2015-16 annual catalog from Stampin' Up! And this is what it looks like. I use shimmer paper, so it has a real nice glisten to it. And then when you open it up, it's just blank. So you can have this be whatever you want it to be. And so let's go ahead and get started, and I'll teach you how to create this card. The first thing that you're going to need, of course, is the White Christmas stamp set, and it looks like this. And when you look at it, it's kind of hard to envision using it for anything else. However, what I did is where it says thinking of you at Christmas, I just clipped this in half with my scissors so that I'm using just the thinking of you. And then of course I'm going to show you how you can spread these trees apart so that you have a little more room to put the deer in the middle. So let's go ahead and we will start stamping so that we can give that a little bit of time to dry. We are going to use a 3 3/4 by 5-inch piece of shimmery white paper. So I am going to bring in my stamp mat. Whenever you are using photopolymer stamps, it's a good idea to stamp on a stamp mat that Stampin' Up! Sells. I just have a half sheet of text weight paper here to use as my scrap paper. Here's my shimmery white, and here is the trees from the White Christmas stamp set. So I'm going to just ink half of it for right now, and I'm going to use our Memento black ink. It is our best ink for photopolymer stamps. It will wipe off with a baby wipe, but what we are doing right now is just inking up half of this. And so we are going to go ahead and we are going to stamp that just on the right hand side like this. Then we're going to ink up the other half and we will stamp that on the left hand side. So let me show you. I'm inking it up, and we are going to stamp this on this side of the card. And I'm going to make sure that I bring this tree here down pretty far because we're going to be putting something up here in the upper left hand side of that panel. So there it is, and now you can see we have a nice big gap here. So how do we take care of that so we can have our deer standing on ground versus floating in outer space? So what we are going to do is we're going to get our Project Life pens. This Project Life pen is the thicker, the 05 pen, and we're just going to finish drawing this line between the two hills. So I'm just going to take my Project Life pen and just bring that all together so that we have a nice ground now for our deer to stand on. So let's go ahead and ink up the deer, and we're just going to set him so that he is standing about right here. And there we go. We have the deer, and that's what's nice about the photopolymer too, is you can see through it so you know right where you're stamping. And then so that we can go ahead and give a little bit of color to this card, we are going to take some blender pens that Stampin' Up! Sells in sets of 3, and they're on page 163 of our annual catalog. And we're going to use some soft suede ink, so I'm just going to press the cover down into the ink pad, open it up, and you can see I have some good ink on my cover here, and that's where I'm going to take the color to color the trees and the deer. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that right now. Okay, and now I have the trees colored, and you can see it goes a little bit out of line, but that's okay. We're not going to worry about that, and it is a little hard for me to get my head in there underneath the camera, so I'm sure I could do a better job if I didn't have the camera directly in my way. But now I'm going to go ahead and color the deer. So again, I'm just going to take some color, and I'm going to start with the tail and the legs. We're going to use up most of our color on the extremities. Add in the ears here. And then we can go ahead and start filling in the rest of the deer. So if you feel like you have too much color on your blender pen, just go ahead and take some off on your scrap paper. And then we'll just go ahead and we'll just blend this all in. And I'm just doing some small little swirls. And it will get lighter now as I progress through the neck and up into the head. careful around the nose so we don't have any wild lines there. And our deer is colored. Then you take off the excess color from your blender pen onto your scrap paper, and we are ready to move on to the next step. So now I think we can just go ahead and start assembling our card. We are going to use a piece of soft suede paper. This is cut at 4 1/4 by 11 inches, and then I've gone ahead and scored it at 5 1/2. So let me go ahead and I'm going to grab my bone folder. I'll fold it towards the mountain and we'll just give it a nice little press from the back here so it will lie flat while we work with it. The inside panels, we're going to layer this card up a little bit. So we have a piece of crumb cake paper. This is 4 by 5 1/4. And then on the other side we have another piece of shimmery white paper, or you could just use whisper white if you wished. It is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And we're just going to go ahead and using some multi-purpose liquid glue, we're going to just put a line all the way around, and then we will glue this onto the inside panel of our card. Of course, with the glue we have a little wiggle room so we can make sure that all of our borders are nice and even. And now let's go back and work on the outside panel. So we're going to need a panel of whisper white. This is 4 by 5 1/4, and you can see I've done a little big shot work here in advance. And what I used is the gift card envelope thinlet dies, and they look like this. And the die that I use so much with this particular set is this long banner die. I just love it. And so I did run that through the Big Shot machine, and you are going to put this panel directly down onto your card. There's no ribbon wrap, so we're safe. We can go ahead and just glue this down. And it doesn't matter if this banner is here. In fact, I prefer that it's on the front of the card versus the inside panel of the card, because on the inside panel, if you're writing along on that panel of white, your pen might dip into this area. So it's better to put the cutout on the outside of the card. And then we can go ahead and we'll just attach this panel to here after we've run it through the Big Shot machine, because we have a step to really make this pretty looking. We're going to use the Softly Falling embossing folder. Now this debuted in the Holiday 2015 catalog, but it was so popular, Stampin' Up! Has gone ahead and they have continued it into the Occasions catalog, which was really exciting. So actually what we're going to do is we're going to hold the deer, and we're going to hold this embossing folder so that the folded part of the folder is towards you, and you can bring the deer in and you can kind of see where the snowfall is falling. So what I try to do is I try to dodge some of those flakes so he doesn't have the snowflakes too much directly on him. Now if there's 1 or 2, that's okay, but you don't want him in a whole bunch of flakes. So I think this looks good, really good right here, because there's no, none of these bumps will show up on his body. There'll be a couple up here by the antlers and one just below his chin there. But I think that looks good. So I'm going to run that through the embossing machine right now, our Big Shot machine. So I'll be right back. All right, so this is the Stampin' Up! Big Shot platform, and when you use embossing folders, you're going to open it up to tab 1, and then what I did is I have my plate, my cutting plate, and then my Softly Falling embossing folder, my panel with the deer, and then of course another plate. So I ran that through the machine, and when you open it up, you can see that you have all this wonderful snow falling down in the middle of a nice cold winter day. So let's go ahead now and we'll put this right onto our front panel. So again, I'm just going to use a little bit of multi-purpose liquid glue, just a real thin skinny line all the way around, and we're just going to set this right here. Little bit of wiggle room, make sure that's nice and exact, and give it a press. And the card looks pretty good, but we're going to make it look even better. Remember that little pennant that we cut out earlier. We're going to push that out of the thinlet, And we are going to go ahead and glue that onto the front panel of our card. So we can set this in right here. There we go. Now we can take the Thinking of You, which I mentioned I cut off from this sentiment. I sometimes do that with my photopolymers especially because it's easy to line them back up, and you get a little bit more versatility when you have the stamps separated like that. So now I'm just going to stamp that on a piece of scrap shimmery white paper, and then I'm going to use my antique word window punch, and we're just going to punch this out. I say antique because Stampin' Up! Doesn't carry the whale tail style of punch anymore, but I've had this for a long time, and so I continue to use it. Now we're going to put this Thinking of You onto our card, and I'm going to use my dimensionals, except I'm going to take one of these pieces down here at the bottom. I already pre-cut it, and we'll set this on here, and we will set this now right onto our card, right on this panel, but towards the right hand side. All right, now for the perfect finishing touch, we're going to take the Perfect White Accents. They are found on page, I think it is, let's see, 161 of our 2015-16 catalog. You'll find a lot of embellishments on that page. And I did attach them to glue dots. Sometimes they get a little bit slippery and don't stick perfectly to the paper, and even though they are called perfect accents, they sometimes need a little help with a glue dot. So I went ahead and I put a couple of these down, and just attaching them with a glue dot assures me that they're not going to come off. So there's two of the smaller ones and one of the larger one. So the card is complete. It looks like this when it's all finished. And here is the one that I had done in advance. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I truly enjoy sharing these with you. Thank you so much for your comments. It really means a lot and keeps me going. I truly appreciate it. If you don't currently have a demonstrator, I'd be so happy to be yours. Just visit my blog at www.stampingtoshare.com. I have a place where you can sign up for my weekly newsletters that I send to my customers, and then also links for you to place orders. Have a great day. Bye-bye.